Lessons. Today we're talking about fears and phobias because it's nearly Halloween. And what I wanted us to start with, first of all, was to see how many synonyms you can think of for the word scared. So what words can we use to describe scared? So here's an example. Yeah, another word for scared is frightened. Okay, so here are some more that I thought of. Terrified, afraid, fearful, nervous, and petrified. So fearful is a bit more formal. I don't think I would use that as much in my spoken English. Nervous can have, it's mainly a negative meaning in English. And petrified is a very strong adjective to say that you're scared, right? You're really, 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 really terrified. You're absolutely petrified. So here are 6 nice alternatives to the word scared. What preposition follows all of those words? So let's just go back again. Which preposition do we use after all of these 6 words? Any ideas? Good. Yeah. So the preposition that follows all of these is of. Yeah. So when we're talking about a noun, right? So I'm frightened of cockroaches. I'm terrified of clowns. I'm afraid of spiders. I'm fearful of people. I'm nervous of going. I'm petrified of exams, for example. Okay. Now, some of these will be different. So if we follow with a verb, I would use to, right? Like I'm frightened, I'm terrified to go, for example. Before we look at new vocabulary, can you remember when we say frightened and when we say frightening? So when do we use the ed ending with an adjective and when do we use the ing ending with an adjective? Yeah. Can you remember? So the way to remember this, guys, is it's to do with cause and effect. So if you cause the emotion, we use ing. For example, the film was frightening, okay? But it's not only for objects. So people quite often think that ing is only for an object, but the teacher can be frightening, yeah? Or a ghost can be frightening. It's not just an inanimate object. And if you feel or if you receive the emotion, we use an ed ending. For example, I was frightened by the film. Okay. Another way to think about this, if it helps you, is that this is actually a passive because frighten can also be a verb. So I was frightened by the film. Okay. If you're a grammar person and that helps you, that's a way to consider it. But I think the easiest way to remember is that the thing that causes the emotion, use ing. The thing that receives the emotion, use ed for your ending. Okay, so let's have a look at some phobias now. Let's see if you can tell me the word in English for these 4 phobias. So a fear of heights, fear of spiders, fear of enclosed spaces, and fear of the outdoors. They're basically, if you have a Latin-based language, they're going to basically be the same, but with a slightly different spelling. So fear of heights in English is vertigo. Fear of spiders is arachnophobia. Horrible spelling, though. Fear of enclosed spaces is claustrophobia. And fear of open spaces is agoraphobia. Yeah. And when you want to, if you want to make it into an adjective, we change the ending from ia to ik, right? So I'd be arachnophobic. or claustrophobic, or agoraphobic. But now I'm going to give you some really great expressions that you can use to talk about things that you're scared of in English. So I've put them in a sentence to help you understand them better. Okay, so here's the first one. Clowns scare the life out of me, or clowns scare the hell out of me. The second one is much more informal. For some people, it can be a bit rude. Okay, so if you want the safer version, use it scares the life out of me. Number 2, he went as white as a sheet when he saw the ghost. Number 3, she heard a wail which sent shivers down her spine. Number 4, there was a bang and he jumped out of his skin. Number 5, spiders, I love this one. Spiders give me the heebie-jeebies. I hate creepy crawlies. Cockroaches freak me out in particular. That house is really spooky. It gives me the creeps. And the last sentence for you, just thinking of the horror film gives me goosebumps. Okay, so just take a minute, have a look at those examples and see if you can write a definition for these words. They're all related to fear or phobia, but think a little bit more about the meaning. Right, so let's have a look then at what these expressions mean and have a look at the answers as well. Okay, so the first one here, guys, it scares the life out of me, or it scares the hell out of me. So this is an informal expression, one we use more in spoken English, and it means to make someone feel very frightened. So imagine you're in your room and somebody shouts your name. You're like, oh, Jesus, you scared the hell out of me. Okay, but remember, like I said, the hell out of me is a bit stronger. In American English especially, the word hell is not considered polite. In British English, it's not so bad, but in American English, they don't like using that word very much. So scare the life out of me is a more polite version. Okay, he went as white as a sheet when he saw the ghost. So that relates to your face, okay? So if you go white as a sheet, your face is really pale. It doesn't have any color. It's usually because of shock or fear, but we can also use it to talk about illness, yeah? So, you know, if somebody's feeling sick or dizzy, you'd say they're as white as a sheet. And you'll very often see it collocated with the word go. Go as white as a sheet. This one here, guys, she heard a wail which sent shivers down her spine. This is something we use more in written English than in spoken English, and it's used a lot in descriptive writing. It just means to feel very frightened or also excited. So a lot of these expressions that talk about fear can also talk about excitement too, because those things are connected. So this is something you would read in a story, for example. There was a bang and he jumped out of his skin is when you're really surprised by something and you get a big fright, like, you know, you do this kind of a movement. The next one we've got here, guys, spiders give me the heebie-jeebies, right? I love this word. So the heebie-jeebies, if something gives you the heebie-jeebies, it's strong feelings of fear or worry. And again, you'll very often see this collocated with the word give. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. I hate creepy crawlies. Cockroaches freak me out in particular. So a creepy crawly is just any kind of small insect. Yeah, so it could be a spider, it could be a centipede, it could be a cockroach, you know, these little insects. It's a word that's used quite a lot by children. And the other word, guys, to freak you out, if something freaks you out, it makes you become anxious or upset or afraid. Okay, so, you know, oh, this is really freaking me out. I'm feeling very nervous here. I'm feeling very anxious. That house is really spooky. It gives me the creeps. So this is, again, all of the ones we've looked at on this page are informal. If something gives you the creeps, okay, you feel really nervous and a bit frightened because something is strange or weird, doesn't really behave in a normal way. And the last one, guys, just thinking of the horror film gives me goosebumps. So goosebumps are what you get on your arm. Yeah. So when you're cold, you'll get goosebumps. The ones that rise up like this, or when you're scared, you'll also get goosebumps. Let me just Google image that for you, because that's the best way for you to see it. Here we are. So these ones here, these are goosebumps. Okay. And again, we've got it with this word here, gives. Like, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It gives me goosebumps. We're going to discuss some questions, and we're going to try and remember those words or apply those words when we're speaking. So we've got these questions here, okay? Are you afraid of anything? Do you believe in ghosts? And have you seen one? Tell me about a scary experience you've had, and how can people cure their phobias? So before we talk about them, I want you to write down and see how many you can remember. We just looked at 8 expressions, okay? So write down on a piece of paper as many as you can. So we're going to speak about this, but what you can also do at home, if you're watching the catch-up of the recording, is you can do this by recording yourself speaking, or trying to do some writing as well. So you can write about the questions too, and see how many of the expressions you're able to bring into your language. Yeah.